Sweet! Welcome to Tables, Ladders, and Bumps, a pro wrestling podcast where we talk about wrestling promotions like WWE, AEW, all in the world of wrestling. My name is Marlon, joined here by Pierre. We are down one guy due to a work obligation, Wade. We hope to see you on the next one. So let's talk about post WrestleMania right now. But before we get into it, go ahead and drop a attitude adjustment on that like button and a five knuckle shuffle on that subscribe button. So like, subscribe, and share. If y'all hear anything that you like or hate or disagree with or love, share it with somebody. We'd love to know your opinions and drop a comment too. So let's get into the post WrestleMania era that we are in right now. It feels like it's a new season. They hit the reset button. And we got two questions for you guys today. One for our What's Poppin' segment. What is the future of WWE with Seth Rollins' new faction? And all this made us pop, of course, when Braun Breaker was revealed, when Sami Zayn was speared into oblivion by Braun Breaker. That's our first question. What is the future of the WWE with Seth Rollins' uh, faction? Because he's always talking about, I am the future, I am best for business, all of that stuff. And two, for our three count, we've narrowed it down to what is the future of wrestling with John Cena as champion? So, and a sub question of that is, has John Cena ruined wrestling? And we'll get into why we may think so, why that is. So let's get into it. What's popping? We have a reveal of Braun Breaker. First of all, let's go back real quick to WrestleMania 41. We have the reveal of Paul Heyman turning on CM Punk, turning on his tribal chief, handing Seth Rollins the chair, and ultimately the victory. And then come Monday Night Raw, we got CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Pierre. You were there at this Raw, so you may
Yeah.
speak to the energy of it a little bit more. We got both of them going after Seth, only to be sidelined and obliterated by Braun Breaker, of course, in Black Hoodie fashion. So, what do you think about that setup, first of all, of this faction coming together, and then any insights from Monday Night Raw that you felt?
Um, Dude, I think it's great for Braun Breaker, right? I think I asked you guys maybe Mania week, who's the future of WWE?
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna be the foundation? When you get like people like Jay, Uso, Roman, Seth, Punk is up there, all these guys are thinking about, should be retiring soon, next couple of years. And you're like, man, who's gonna carry the company? And one standout person is definitely Braun Breaker, you know? So to see him align in this fashion to the main event level now, storyline is great. Being there on Raw, mm, seeing him pop out and then just cut in half both CM Punk and Roman Reigns crazy, you know. And then so now it leads to the question is, what does the future of WWE look like through Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker and Paul Heyman? And I'm drawn back to the pandemic era for Seth Rollins, and it was the Monday Night Messiah,
Mm-hmm.
Seth Rollins, and it feels very much similar to that in the beginning so far to me. Um, Not so biblical and sacrilegious as before, but I am the way. This is the way that it should be,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what's best for everyone, and that's what I feel like. So I think we get into more into that. Um, I would it'd be safe to assume that Seth Rollins' end goal is to capture the title again.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think necessarily it should be the World Heavyweight Championship. You know, I think the title that he really deserves to get is the WWE Undisputed Championship. So it's figuring out how to get to that point, right? And then it's like, what image are we going to get of wrestling with Seth Rollins at the top, or running with this faction, and who else is going to be a part of it?
Mm-hmm.
It's rumors of maybe Austin Theory because he was part of them before, and that'd be great because it's like, man, what has Austin Theory been doing for the last like 2 years? You
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm anxious and I'm anticipating to see what's next for this future. And the name too. We can call him the future for now.
On the future.
Yep.
Yeah. The future, the inevitable, Seth freaking Rollins. So I feel I like your assessment, and I like your questions that you asked too. What is the future of WWE with Seth Rollins' new faction? First of all, I popped out of my pants when Braun Breaker was revealed in the hoodie because this is what we need. We need Breaker at God level or God mode type wrestling, and it was kind of foreshadowed when he first signed on to the main roster when he had an interaction with Paul Heyman
Hmm.
in one of the backstage segments. So we're here. This is it, and I think it's going to get better. So definitely got to pop out of me, especially with like both Roman and CM Punk getting dismantled. You know, I'm two huge fans of theirs, but just to see them get obliterated really meant something.
Hmm.
Uh, Braun Breaker, I mean, Seth Rollins as the leader, he, I'm just impressed. I know I've dogged and I've slandered Seth Rollins a lot on this podcast, and I may be regretful about that. But WWE choosing to go with Seth Rollins as the guy, aside from John Cena, but as the guy for Monday Night Raw is a pretty damn bold move because you would think how many injuries has he had? How much legacy has he already created for himself with the different versions of himself and his age, simply put, and his life stage of being a dad and all that stuff. The fact that they're putting all their eggs in this Seth Rollins basket, um, I'm impressed. I'm impressed by Seth willing to take it on and WWE willing to take the risk with him. But I feel like it's going to work out as long as it's not another run like 2019 was for Seth. If he can handle this as the main guy point person, I think he will cement himself as an all-time great.
Hmm.
Some people may already think of that about him now, but if this can happen, what is his future? I feel like it will be not long, maybe a year tops, until Braun Breaker and Paul Heyman turn on Seth and kick him out. And we may need Avengers like qualities to take down whatever the faction is that will be at the time. And Seth, Punk, and Roman may be a new form, not of the Shield, but a new like trifecta to mess with
Hmm.
before they go out, because both of them are on the tail end of their career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. So when you say like you're impressed, like for me, with WWE going this route with Seth Rollins, I look at it as like, yo, look what Seth Rollins has done the last like 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was the workhorse with the World Heavyweight Championship. Did all that he did at WrestleMania, tore a knee, messed up back,
Mm-hmm.
had a match, with Drew McIntyre, then helped Cody Rhodes,
Mm-hmm.
and then probably came back early and had the match with Damian Priest
Mm-hmm.
that helped keep setting up the CM Punk like feud and CM Punk things with Drew McIntyre. I think he's earned that spot,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and say what you want. When you look through wrestling history, it's always been like a 1-2. It was Hogan Flair, or Hogan Macho Man. You get Stone Cold, you get Rock, you know, and then you have Roman, and you want to say itself, but it's hard to say that because there's levels to it, and you say, man, Roman is so high, and so sometimes stuff gets overshadowed because it seems like the spotlight is so enormous on Roman Reigns, but Steph really does carry the load in all of this, And so I think he's earned it. And I totally agree. Like that was gonna be my Stone Cold theory, was that we know we're gonna get Braun Breaker
Mm-hmm.
and Paul Heyman in line and turning on Seth Rollins. Braun Breaker reminds me of a mini the next big thing version of Brock Lesnar.
Mm-hmm.
Just the explosiveness, the freak of nature, like athleticism that he has. And that's right along what Paul Heyman needs, So he's always looking for that thing. And that thing is Braun Breaker. So it's only a matter of time before we get that turn on Seth Rollins. And I agree, we're gonna get some type of not shield, but some type of hounds of justice S type of thing between Punk, Roman, and Seth
Mhm.
to try to take down whatever this is going to be. So yeah, man, I totally agree with all of that.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next question about the future of wrestling. John Cena kind of predicted this. I'm impressed. And the question is right here behind my head. Here's a level of transparency. I made a graphic to display these two questions, and my Zoom format is only allowing me, for some reason, to show this one question. So here it is. What is the future of wrestling with John Cena, and has John Cena ruined wrestling as he said he did? Now, I'll back this up by a couple of things initially. I haven't thought this all the way through, but we have people cheering for heels. We have people cheering for heels at the demise or the destruction of a babyface. One example is when John Cena turned heel initially, every crowd in Europe and a little bit after that booed the crap out of the guy as soon as his music hit. Now, since the a week or two, the promo before WrestleMania, people were cheering him and booing Cody Rhodes. And a lot of that, I believe, had to do with what John Cena said in his promos. Cody, they will turn on you. They do not care about you. You should not be caring about these people. And he's been right. That's one example. Um, Two, we'll get into more. But Pierre, what is the future with John Cena? What is the future of wrestling with John Cena as champ? And has he ruined wrestling?
Uh, I think this is Thanos with the snap.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a complete. It's going to be a reset, man,
Mm-hmm.
of everything what we have known with pro wrestling, the format. You know, WrestleMania said a lot. The entrance, black. You know, black screen,
Graphics.
nothing.
Yeah.
You know, no graphics, none of that. You know, it was just came out to the ring and that was it. Stood in the ring, had a look of like disgust the whole entire time. You know, and people said the match was boring or whatever the case may be, but John Cena, to my knowledge, the matches I've seen with him hasn't wrestled that type of pace before. It was very slow, very drawn out, you know, and unable to even get the audience really into it like it should have been,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, and say what you want about the Travis Scott thing, we could have that, but now we get to this point now, it's a heel version of John Cena, and maybe we'll get to a little bit more like if was it the best move for John Cena to be face or heel, winning the championship, 17th championship? Um, but actually, I like the idea of wrestling being ruined in a sense, like not so much to where we don't have kayfabe anymore, but the whole idea of this person is a heel, this person is a face, so you must cheer here, you must boo here. No, I want to go along with whoever my morals or I feel aligned with,
Yeah.
not because this guy is a heel, because
Even
he's a
character
bad
wise.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or more compelling character.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if what John Cena is doing, because what heel thing really has John Cena done besides kick Cody Rhodes in the nuts? He's done nothing else. I mean, Travis Scott came out right,
Slander.
but
I mean,
outside,
nothing physically, but just like slander. He wasn't like
yeah,
attacking people from behind or nothing like that.
exactly.
Just working the crowds and working Cody.
Yeah, and this whole thing has never even been about Cody Rhodes. WrestleMania 41 was John Cena versus the fans.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And now the real question is, did we lose or did John Cena win?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's still the case is still out on that. You know, we don't
Right.
know yet. You
I
know, we
love
don't
that
know how
name.
this plays out yet. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
um, if we get into his heel turn real quick, I saw a clip of Hulk Hogan talking. And this might be one of the few times I agree with Hulk Hogan. I'm not really impressed with the heel turn. You know, I wanted more out of it, but maybe this is still part along what the plan is. You know, certain pieces not being part of the play that created the play hurts the story. Excuse me,
The
hurts the
Rock.
story a lot. You know, yeah, The Rock not being part of it. You know, um, it still guess it was going to unfold or whatever. But man, I feel like the 17th championship win, it was talked about for so long. You know, will it ever happen? You know, will anyone ever beat Flair's record? You know, and you can say if it's really 17 or if it's 21 or whatever, depending on how you counted it, right? Um, it should have been a big moment. And does John Cena get robbed of that moment because he's a heel, right? Should it have been something to where he should have been everywhere celebrating I won number 17 in WWE, you know, and he's not able to do it because he's this heel version of himself, you know. So how really monumental is that 17 championship win when it can't really be properly celebrated like it should be, like it's a big accomplishment, you know?
I think the heel turn preceding the win is what's going to make this most memorable. I think everything leading up to him winning and being pissed off and annoyed and minimalist and not flashy dashy. I'm gonna tear you apart with a rhyme or a rap battle or whatever. I feel like because it's so unprecedented, that's what's gonna make 17. It's like, oh, you remember when John Cena won 17? Oh yeah, wasn't he heel at that time? He was. Isn't that crazy? And
Mm-hmm.
I feel that if if he had the graphics, and you and I were kind of talking about this earlier. You asked me, is it better that he won as a heel or would it have been better that he won as a face? I think if he was a face, people would get fatigued a lot faster about him being champion. Because even when he was a face back in the day, people hated him. They booed him. They booed this man. Now, I feel like more people are wanting the anti-hero, more authentic John Cena, more raw, giving it like giving the winner champion babyface a hard time. I think people feel more compelled to cheer for him. Um,
Mm-hmm.
not in a kiss ass way, but it's like this is this is relatable. He's speaking truths, and I somehow want this man. Also, I'm gonna tap into me being a fan to from like decades ago. Like, am I gonna start cheering for John Cena again? I think I might. So I feel like this opens it up versus if you have pro John Cena and anti John Cena, who were there originally before the heel turn. I feel like that would have gotten stale a lot quicker.
Possible.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I think the last run, farewell tour, whatever you call it, was big enough to draw people in, right? And everyone was on board with that because, like, man, we go back to the fans, right? And not cheering for heel or faces, but cheering for people who they really appreciate.
Hmm.
When it's all said and done, whether you boo John Cena or whether you cheer for him, you appreciate John Cena no matter
Hmm.
what. I
Hmm.
think before the heel turn, going into the Royal Rumble, everyone was like, "Oh man, he's going to win the Royal Rumble."
Oh yeah, I remember that feeling.
You know, the
Hmm.
energy was behind him,
Yeah.
and even at Elimination Chamber, still celebration
Yeah.
when he won the Chamber. You know, so I think we could have went into Mania with him as face, and with people going to turn on Cody, I think it's going to happen either way. I think Cody was getting stale, and you didn't necessarily have to have Cody turn. You could have written him off afterwards. Someone attacked Cody, he get injured, he got to be off screen for a while or whatever, when off TV, and now you could have had John Cena. Maybe we get heel Randy Orton because I don't know how much I like face version Randy Orton versus heel John Cena. You know, John Cena said something about Cody Rhodes that Cody Rhodes is too polished. That's why it's fake. John Cena is too polished as a heel to me. It doesn't come off real, you know. Um, don't know. I mean, it's different ways. We don't know. We have to see how it plays out. But I
Yeah.
think I might have preferred John Cena as a face
Mhm.
when number 17.
So I'm not gonna. I I hear what you're saying. I want to get back to the question: has John Cena
Mm-hmm.
ruined wrestling? And we asked that question based on the fact that, as we mentioned earlier, heels are being cheered for over baby faces to the point where they want the baby faces to be hurt. So one example is Jacob Fatu doing a bunch of moonsaults on whomever, Braun Strowman or LA Knight.
Mm-hmm.
One more time, one
Yeah.
more time. I'll bring up that first example. The second example is at Mania and the SmackDown before Mania, Cody was being booed, Cena was being cheered. At Mania, I'd say it was dead even. But the fact that 1 year later they're booing the crap out of Cody and it's loud is
Mm-hmm.
another way of saying John was right. They don't care, right? Third one is on this past Monday Night Raw with Sami Zayn, who's typically the martyr for the good
Yeah.
guys, right? Who draws sympathy and empathy from the crowd. Uh, that didn't really work this time around.
Nope.
And like you said before, Seth Rollins was still greeting the crowd as if he is a good guy or a face, and he's justified in his actions. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like the John Cena thing of like, I'm not heel, I'm not face, I am human.
Yes.
And the actions are justified. And Rollins was playing that card well to be like, I'm not a bad guy. Like, I'm the future. I want what's best for business. Sammy, you better get out of the way. I'm looking out for you, man, which is what a good friend would do, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
clear the way. I don't want you to be hurt. Don't be a part of this. And if you don't, you're going to get hurt. I'm just trying to help you. So Rollins can arguably be a face still, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why we asked, has John Cena ruined wrestling by blurring these lines of heel and face, justification of actions, and the reaction is the crowd is like, nah, like I'm gonna root for the guy, as you mentioned a couple of times.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Um, Maybe to some old school people, yes, this is ruining wrestling. But do I like that? Like I say, man, I don't want some person that's designated as a face and has to behave in a babyface manner.
Yeah.
You know, you have to always smile. You can't be upset. You can't nothing like that because that's not real. You know, good people still get upset about things. You
Hmm.
know, um, I remember Spider-Man No Way Home, right? And after Green Goblin had killed his Aunt May, and you get to the point, and you like, yeah, destroy Green Goblin, Spider-Man, like unleash those hands.
Hmm.
You know, get these gorilla biscuits, yo. And but you get to the point you're cheering for really for Spider-Man to kill Green Goblin, and he would have been justified to, you
Yeah.
know. And as we look at Sami Zayn getting speared 10,000 times into pieces, it turned into like the Coliseum. Like this is like wrong, you know. This is gladiator type of thing, you know. And not saying that we're bloodthirsty, like Braun Breaker brings a certain type of energy, you
Hmm.
know, like everyone has a spear. We've seen the spear for years, you know. We have never really seen a spear like Braun Breaker,
No, we
you
have.
know, and that's crazy, you know. And we go take off our too, you know, like the things he's able to do in the ring is crazy, you know. Bronson Reed, and I want to even just bring up Bronson Reed when it started back last year when he gave Seth Rollins 6 tsunamis,
Oh yeah.
and people kept chanting one more time, you
Hmm.
know, and that's how we got to 6, you
Hmm.
know, and it's been a thing that's kind of just been bubbling,
Yeah.
and maybe now it's really come to the full surface and come to the head to like, yo, like No, the whole thing of face and the heel is
Yeah.
done with. Like we're past that. You know, I might not necessarily agree with the Netflix special that got coming out,
Hmm.
the Unreal, whatever.
Hmm.
That's too much to me. But this is realer to me right now in
Yeah.
wrestling.
So I will say this: Cody may be the last true clear cut white meat baby face that we're going to see in a long time. Um, because if you think about four of the main guys at the top right now, Cena, Roman, Punk, Rollins, and Wade might be disagree with this, but they're all tweeners,
Wait.
or we don't know. Like we can't say because a lot of things are so relative. We can't say if they're a true face or a true heel
Mm-hmm.
because everyone is justified in their actions. Not delusional, not like a true delusional heel,
Yeah.
but a lot of people are justified in their actions. And, you know, even arguably Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
A
I
lot
was
of
about to
those
say,
main
yeah.
a lot of those main guys at the top, they're protagonists and antagonists at the same time. So Cody losing the belt and exiting for now, temporarily, Lord knows how long, may be the last true babyface that we may see in a while.
No, I agree. And I think everything that Cena was saying to Cody doing those promos is the foundation and the framework for the new version of Cody Rhodes that we're going to see when he comes back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And maybe then slowly Cody might bring back the heel.
Yeah, because there were tendencies in that KO match,
Yeah.
or him getting pissed off at Carmelo Carmelo Hayes backstage. So,
Yeah.
um, people pushing his buttons. So we shall see. We shall see. All right, you got anything else before we wrap?
No, man, I think that's it, man. Just, man, what do you guys, how you guys feel? Is John Cena the heel turn the best things in sliced bread? Let us know.
Let us know. Let us know. And what is the future of wrestling from here on out, at least for this year? What do you guys think? All right, that's our show for the day. Thanks for tuning in. If you're here, remember to like and subscribe. Tables, Ladders, and Bumps, 909 on YouTube. And yeah, tell your friends. Until now, like this. All right, we'll see you guys on the next one.
Adios.
Adios.